The U.S. has been absolute in this matter with the Israelis, telling them not to worry that they were on top of the situation and had it contained. All the recent show of bravado by Tehran with missile tests flexing its military muscle makes Washington believe they may have overlooked something and all is not contained as well as previously believed. Iran would never make such a bold military action if it were not certain of the international reaction to it. Iran's economy has been virtually devastated by the covert secret economic sabotage waged by Washington as a matter of policy since the Clinton administration at least. The Iranians are fed up with the bullshit promises by Washington to normalize relations while actively carrying on a campaign designed to undermine the whole of the Iranian economy. Unfortunately, that's collateral damage according to the Washington, a smile on the face of the USA while stabbing the dagger in the back with the other hand. Of course, we hear the hate from Iran being spewed to the US. Look what we are doing to them and have been as a matter of policy for years. Their children dying of malnutrition, basic medical and social services are routinely interrupted because of economic insolvency, as Iran is further isolated from international banks. The problem is twofold. On the one hand, we have to acknowledge the fact that Iran is a fundamentalist theocratic Islamic republic with very public feelings about the state of Israel. They openly admit that if they have the bomb, they most certainly will use it to destroy Israel. We must take these threats very seriously, considering all the money that freely flows from Tehran to Hamas and Islamic Jihad into the Palestinian territory. The most aggressive funding of terrorist activity has been from cash Tehran has provided to sustain the efforts by the Palestinian insurgents against Israel. Iran is vitriolic about this fact, more so than any other Arab state prior to the Taliban in Afghanistan. The Taliban were not, of course, the same measurable threat. As a response to the vocal position of Iran that has been official, I might add, since the Ayatollah Khomeini first pronounced it in 1981 after the revolution, the United States will always protect what it deems its global interest, and the protection of Israel unilaterally under any possible arrangement has always been a matter of policy since Carter and Begin and Sadat met in Washington to sign the historic Egypt-Israeli Accord, the one and only moment of success for the pathetic Carter administration that would ultimately sink under the heavy weight of a failed policy of détente that allowed the meltdown to happen so rapidly in Tehran in 1979. The Shah's crumbling regime toppled the U.S.-friendly client-state arrangement that had been enjoyed vanished into a dust, all in a matter of weeks. The Bush-Reagan era that was about to be ushered in was a decidedly different policy shift from the détente-Kissinger approach to the new Bush brainchild called containment policy that would replace it with. The initial underpinnings of this new idea in international diplomacy the Reagan White House would promulgate was first revealed in what is now known as the October Surprise. Although not confirmed ipso facto, but believed to have been the active undermining of hostage negotiations Carter was embattled with, the Reagan political apparatus, poised for a shoo-in in November, was asserting the new approach of containment when it secretly arranged for the release of the hostages at the very moment Reagan was sworn in as 40th President of the United States. He wanted to see the headline proudly announce the release of the U.S. hostage to be effectively tied to the new, much more decisively hardline military approach to containment rather than Carter White House would have ever took. If you recall, it was a major reason voters went to the Reagan on the campaign because of his position on the hostages. Remember, they were held for 444 days. That's 1 year and 3 months, I think. When the political dust cloud settled, the Iranians capitulated to the Reagan threat that they would not be dealing with the Carter administration any longer as of January 1981. When it was clear to Tehran who would be in control in Washington, they negotiated a deal with the Reagan, not yet even officially president-elect, because the deal was apparently reached in October before the general election. It was obvious that Reagan was going to mop the floor with Carter, and he was lame-ass duck president if there ever was one. Carter was even more embarrassed when he had just assured the Shah himself, only months before, weeks even before the revolution was underway, that the U.S. would never abandon the Shah should things go very badly internally. The U.S. promised to help the Shah maintain control and foolishly believed that the revolution in Iran could be micromanaged, as the Carter White House was so fond of doing with anything to do with international diplomacy. The revolution, by all accounts, was arguably an unmanageable situation. It went from almost complete calm inside Iran to a meltdown of monumental proportions within when this Ayatollah Khomeini started talking his ship from Paris half a world away, where he was living in exile and organizing the revolution.